Couple things you want to have before you start with your oil pastels. You want to have a blank sheet of paper. This is going to clean some of your oil pastels. And what I mean by that is, especially on the white, you're going to get it pretty dirty. So sometimes if there is a color on there that you don't want to get onto your picture, you need to get rid of it. So what I tend to do is just scribble back and forth on a blank piece of paper and try to get all that off of the white. Okay, so it's nice and clean, and there's still a little bit there, so I'm just going to kind of scrub. Or sometimes, you know, I'll just wipe it, or I'll just take my fingernail and scrape it off. All right. Same thing here. You can see this green. It has a bunch of blue on it. I don't want that, so I'm going to get rid of it and just clean it up onto this piece of paper. Okay. Another thing that you can do with the paper is you can practice blending a color. And so what I mean by that is, if I were to try to get this green here, okay, on this piece of paper, and I were to apply just the green that came out of the box, it's two different colors. This one is pretty bright. So I could go and try, some of your boxes have more colors in them, but the majority of them don't. Here's another one. It's kind of close, it's closer to that. But if I were to try to mix those two colors and to try to get this one exactly, I may go and practice on this piece of paper here before I apply. Okay, so now the color that I did here is pretty close to this one. So then I know to just put it onto my good paper. Okay, so always have a blank sheet of paper. Another thing is you want to make sure the area that you're working in. So I'm going to work in like this green area here at the bottom of my picture. And I want to get all the colors that I see going on in here. So I'm going to study what I have. I've got different shades of green, so I'm going to get all the shades of green that I find in my box out. I have some yellow going on, so I'm going to get a couple different yellows. Okay. I see some orange, so I'll get some orange out on my palette. Actually, I feel like this orange too. This one's a little bright. I'm always probably going to have black and white, so I got my black and white. And there is like a couple little areas where it almost looks like it's got little blue tint to it, so I may get my blue out. And maybe I'll just stick with that for now. So I have all my colors ready to just grab when I'm ready to blend. You want to first sketch out your drawing. All right, so I'm going to be giving everybody a light table to sketch out their drawing that I printed, or their picture that I printed. I don't have mine sketched out, I just went with it, but here you would normally have had this area sketched out for yourself. So I'm going to work on this area. You always want to try to start with your lightest color first, because you can always go darker. It would actually be pretty hard if in this area where I have white, it would be very hard to get the green underneath there and then try to apply this white. Because what would happen if I tried to do that? Well, let's see. I have this green here, and if I were to put white on top of it to make it nice and bright like this color, watch what happens. It's just makes it a lighter green instead, okay? So what's very important is to apply some of those areas that are white first, all right? It's not like paint, because if this were paint and this dried and then I could put some white over it and it would be fine. But you gotta remember, these are oil pastels. They work a little bit differently. So my first start is where this white is. So I'm just going to, first I'm going to make sure I clean off my white, because I ended up putting that white over the green a minute ago. Okay. And then I'm just going to apply just a little bit of white. And of course I can't see where it's going because I'm coloring white on top of white. But if I look at it at a certain angle, I can see the glare from where I applied. Now I'm going to go with my next lightest color, which is a little bit of a yellow color. Right here I have some yellow. You can see that this yellow is pretty disgusting, so I need to clean that. Get that nice and clean. And then I'm going to apply like a little bit of yellow right next to it. All right, and now my next color is going to be like this greenish color. So I'm just going to have like a base coat first here. I'm not going to color in really dark yet. You're going to be applying a lot of layers. In oil pastels, there's a lot of layers involved. You're not going to just color it in like I'm doing here and seeing all this white coming through. This is how you would color back when you were in elementary school using crayons. It's got that look to crayons. So you don't want to just leave it like that, okay? But I'm applying some color because I'm going to overlap. So now I want to get like this different tone here, and I feel like this green might help. So now I'm going to go over it with this green. I'm going to start applying a little darker color. Still feels like it's not the right color, so what I'll just do is go back and forth with different colors. This is even a different green. Maybe even, actually I might even try a little white. A little white will tone it down a little bit, almost like how when you color mix paint, white always makes things lighter and black always makes things darker. And that's helping with the green. So as you can see, I keep going like in a back and forth motion, trying to just color mix. So it's a little different from paint. Like our next project, we're going to be doing painting, and you're going to be mixing the colors ahead of time before you apply. Whereas with this project, you tend to mix right on your canvas. Okay, so now I got some green in there. I'm going to go in my little darker green. I applied this darker green, but it's not getting quite the darkness that I want here. See how this is really dark? And it didn't get to that point. So now what I'm going to do is just add a little tiny bit of black. I don't need to apply a lot because black goes a long way. Just going to apply a little bit, and then I want to tone it down a little bit. So now I'm going to go back over it with my green. Like that. Right in this corner there's a little touch of blue, so I'm just going to apply a little tiny blue right there, and then I'll just fill in the rest of the area with my green. It's a little lighter shade right here. Actually, it even looks like there's some yellowish green right there. And as you're building up layers, you're going to find that it's really nice and smooth when you apply the color. My picture has a lot of different things going on. As you can see, there's like brush strokes because the original painting was probably done with some type of oil paint or acrylic paint, something that was really thick. I need to get some of these darker spots. So basically I'm just going to try to follow the colors as I go. And it's not going to be exactly like your picture because you have to remember you're probably taking a painting or an actual photograph and using oil pastels, because not many of the famous art that you see online are done in oil pastel. So what's happening now is I'm making the impression, like we're doing impressionism, I'm making the impression that there is grass right here. Okay? So then I'm just, I got this chunk going on, so now I'm just going to gradually go this way, all right? And continue with the steps that I took before. So I got this area going on, so now I need to get here. So my lightest color is actually, looks like it's a lighter orange. So I'm going to apply a little bit of white first. And then I'm going to put actually a little bit of yellow. and then I'll put my orange. And then I'll go with my green. And do those same steps. So the same steps of starting with your lightest color, going to the darkest color, and you're going to be doing a bunch of different layers. You're going to be color mixing right onto your painting here, or your canvas or paper, whatever you're working on. I feel like as I'm looking at it, this should have been right here, actually. But what you're gonna find is you'll get, you know, by doing it in like little chunks, and if you have a lot going on, like my piece here, you're gonna get lost. But I'm just basically using this as a reference picture on how to like mix colors and get the impression of the same picture that I'm working with here. Okay, so your main goal is to not have any of this white of your paper coming through. Okay, and if you have white coming through like I have right here, you need to apply layers. All right, that's about it for now.